Steven, I think they're ready for us. You ready?
Yes, sir.
So what's up, everyone? Welcome to a brand new episode on a brand new platform because we're, of course, powered by StreamYard, but we are not about to call this one We Got Next or anything because, we've had people flagging our videos and removing them. So this episode, we're going to call it 2 a.m. in Sweden. And if you guys get the reference, you'll kind of understand that. But we'll play with different names to see if that's going to change, if we get flagged or not. Steven, I'm going to start with this before we go into anything else. So it's been 2 to 3 videos recently. And I don't know if you remember when we were first starting out, people were saying, hey, if you keep up with the name, they're going to end up removing you guys or like flagging you guys. I didn't think they cared that much about what we were doing to do it. And then when I reached out to YouTube twice, they said, oh, it's due to trademark and copyright. So the only thing that it could be is I promise you they're not watching our videos. Like they're doing new shit. It's legit just the wording in it. So if we end up putting different words in the beginning and then we say we got next, they can't end up taking that away from us. So how's everything been with you? What's new in the world?
If you'll notice, I hung up these 2 jerseys.
Yeah.
The jerseys were just sitting on top of my couch right here.
Yes, they were.
My wife told me as a Mother's Day present to her on Sunday, she wanted me to clean my office, which I did, which you can't see. But she wanted me to hang those 2 jerseys up because they've been sitting there since Christmas. So I did, and I know they look slanted. They're not. There's just the way the camera is. My door looks slanted, so it's just the way the camera sits. If you're in here in person looking at them, you could tell that they're not slanted. They are. I did measure them. It took me a hot second. I did measure them. I did level them. They are good. They're the same distance outside the wall to inside the wall. We're good to go. Jerseys are hung. I know there could be a little bit more of a space between them. I don't care. They're hung up. It's all that matters. Yeah. And rocking one of the new jerseys I got. If you remember, I got 3 new jerseys. I'm going to rock the next one next week, the one after that. Haven't decided what I'm going to rock next week. This one was just the one on top of the pile. So it's the 06 D-Wade championship jersey, the finals patch and everything. It has the like the hardwood classic patch on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
As you know, as a jersey collector, that's if it's like one of the retro jerseys, that's what they put on it. Now, Does that mean that this jersey is as real as it comes and authentic as shit? Maybe. Like, I don't know. It came from China, I think. So say what you want about those kind of websites, but like you couldn't tell me shit anyways about this jersey. So This is one of them. I like this jersey. It's a little tight on the midsection. I gotta work on that. But everything else is dope. I like the color. I like the fit. I like the patch. That's dope. I'll rock the other one next week. Another basketball jersey, and then I got a baseball jersey that I'm gonna rock after that. So very pumped to get these just in time for summer. Although it's been fucking raining and cloudy for the last 3 weeks, for God's sake. So pumped about that, but that's all we got. That's all good.
So it's wild because one, shout out to that for you having the jersey. The other thing is, I didn't realize it till right now. We both have the Florida team jerseys on, and I wasn't even paying attention to that in the beginning.
It was not choreographed that way.
It was not at all. The second thing I wanted to end up saying is, so I was in North Carolina this past weekend. It was sunny there, and yet it's rainy here, which annoyed me coming back. The other part to that is, so I went to a graduation down there, and it was in the Dean Smith Center, which a lot of these different venues and arenas and stadiums you see on TV look very different in person because cameras don't do it justice necessarily. So between the Coach K Arena, Duke's Arena, and then also Dean Smith Center, both of those are older venues. Like they don't renovate them at all. And if you look at it, so a lot of times you end up seeing at these new arenas and centers, when you go up the steps, it's a small area, so it doesn't necessarily let all the sound out. At the Dean Smith Center, it's just like open. Once you get past like the 100 level section, it's kind of just, all right, you can come and you go. You can see a portion of the game, not even in a seat. You can legit just be like walking around.
It's an arena.
Yeah.
Like it's not like
literally
the Cameron Indoor is not like an arena.
No.
But yeah, I've also been to the Smith Center. It was not. Yeah. It was during basketball camp, so it wasn't. There was no one in the stands, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But it's big. It's way bigger than you think. It sits up on like a little hill. You got to walk up the ramp. Yeah, it's huge, and like the banners are banners are up, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's cool. Like it's very like bright in there because like it's
Yes.
very Carolina blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty dope in there. Like it's massive. It's like 16,000 people.
I know.
Yeah.
And it's those type of arenas where the seats are like all the way at the top. Whereas
Mhm.
if you're so high up, you could probably talk to God and stuff like
Mhm.
that because of just how you're sitting. But that was like one thing I wanted to bring up. The other two, one of them is, and we've been talking about this, so you see it a lot, and I've been tweeting about it, is the chartered flights that are going on in the WNBA. So I almost think this is all done on purpose because when the women are on their different Snapchats, live, Instagrams, all that shit, the first person you see is Caitlin Clark. And a
Mhm.
lot of this stuff is essentially because of her.
Bro,
Like Indiana
she changed
Fever,
all their lives.
she did. And they don't even realize it, some of
Yep.
them. They just think that, oh, they were going to get this. No. Caitlin can tell you firsthand how exhausting it's going to be for her. Like
Mhm.
she's getting the Justin Bieber treatment, the Taylor Swift treatment, the Michael Jackson treatment, all that. Like you're seeing it firsthand what she's dealing with. Like even rolling up to the arena today because they're playing the Connecticut Sun and they're only having the camera on her. Like there were two women next to her. They did not care. They essentially look like Hoodie Mellow out there. And she just has to be the bright spotlight. Whatever she wears matters. And that was kind of something. Then flip side to that is Angel Reese, they have a game against the Washington Mystics on June 4th or June 6th, and they have to move that one to the Capital One Arena. So you can't tell me that these two players aren't changing the game just by themselves. They're not, nobody else is getting that. Yes, I know Asia Wilson is now getting the sneaker deal. People have their thoughts. I personally could tell you my true thoughts because if Nike's saying that they had this deal in the works for a long time, they're lying to you because it was, they can't say, oh yeah, we came out with it yesterday because it would look bad. But that's one thing. And I'll gloss over that part to end up bringing up the part that I know Steven will have a lot of thoughts on. And that is Mr. Jared Goff, aka Jared Goff, aka the new quarterback in Detroit, Michigan, that they all love in Ford Field. What are your thoughts on the contract, and what do you think that means for other quarterbacks, such as like Dak Prescott, that's coming up?
Well, Dak ain't gonna get shit because he's really like not. He's pretty mediocre at best.
Yeah.
Jared Goff did take them to the NFC Championship game.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, look, is any quarterback worthy? Like not really. There's only a couple that are like really those dudes. Jared Goff is, he's up in one of those upper tiers of quarterbacks these days. It's just like, it's just setting the market for the next quarterback who's going to get paid. And then that's going to set the market for the next quarterback that gets paid, and then so on and so forth. And by the time Mason's a quarterback in the NFL, he's
gonna be $100
million, dude, $1 billion. We'll see. So I mean, it's expected. Every quarterback that does well, that can get a huge deal, does get a huge deal. So it's not as like egregious as some of these NBA free agent deals that come through for like, the seventh man on the, Kings who's getting who had an all-star appearance one year and gets like a 6-year, $75 million deal, some shit like that when you shouldn't. But and then what's his name got paid too? Antoine Winfield Jr.
Yes.
He got paid. He's now the highest paid DB in the league. So good for him. Good. I mean, dude, good for these guys, man. Like,
I will never get mad at someone for getting
no, dude. Like, what are they gonna say? Nah, you know what? I don't want that. I'm gonna.
No.
When you take off about 10, 15 mil. No, dude, they're not like it. Like, it is what it is. Like, all these things that I don't know if I'm like, it's like a old man syndrome that I'm starting to get. But like all these things that people used to like, maybe I wouldn't say I got mad about. But I was always like, damn, like, really? Like, that's crazy. Like, that's stupid. All those things that I used to get pissed off about in sports, just who cares anymore? Like, there are certain things that pop up and I'm like, that's fucked up. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But like most things like the contracts guys get, it's going to happen. Like, these guys are going to get paid hundreds of millions of dollars, whether you think they are, or like whether you think they're worth it or not. Or whether you think they should or not, like, it doesn't matter. Like, they're gonna get paid. Like, these teams have the money. It's a billion-dollar corporation. teams are worth billions of dollars. Jared Goff just took the Lions to the NFC title game after they've been the most irrelevant franchise in the NFL for like almost 30 years. So, like, yeah, go get your paper, bro. Like, who gives a shit? Set yourself up and then set, like, the next 6 generations of your family up for life. Like, go ahead, dude. Go ahead. By all means, accept it. Every dollar of it, get all you can. So, good for him, dude. Good for him. It just sets the next quarterback up. Yeah, it just sets the next quarterback up for a fucking, $275 million or some shit like that, right?
Yeah.
So good for them.
So kind of with both of them, the one thing I do want to bring up with Antoine Winfield, his first year is $24 million, fully guaranteed. The 2 years are fully guaranteed. That's $45 million.
Yeah.
Like, that's all you need to pay. And
now, I know that's before taxes.
Yeah.
I know, like, that's what he's going to get. But, like, what he's actually going to get probably what, like 20 to 25 maybe, right?
Still. Yeah.
Still, bro. Still. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Like only taxes, only in sports, when it comes to taxes being taken out, does it really, like, not matter? Now, I know, I know you'd want to get as close to that $45 million as you possibly could get, but, like, still getting like $18 to $25 million. Whereas, like, when I see taxes come out, I'm fucking crying.
Yeah.
Crying.
You want to know the crazy part for him? He's in Florida.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's even
he's going to get more of it.
Even more of it. Yeah. And they play, obviously you play a majority of your games at home, of course. But if he doesn't have to travel to California, he'll be good.
And exactly.
Yeah, that'll be good, man. Yeah, good for him, dude. Good for these guys.
So I'm happy for him for that. Jared Goff, I'm happy for. Another reason why I'm really happy for Jared Goff is when you saw the trade happen between Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff, half of the world was not thinking, oh, Jared Goff's about to set up the Lions in a great position. If we're being real, we have this conversation all the time. Do you want to set your team up for the future, or do you want to win now? And this is the perfect trade of it. We can both say that was probably one of the more fair trades. Looking at it in the moment, you don't know that, but Matthew Stafford got the Rams a ring, which they truly needed, especially being in LA. Detroit Lions have a team for years, and this is the second year in a row that they sold out season tickets. So it just shows you what's happened there. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say you said it was the most fair. Like, it was like player for player.
Yeah.
I think there was a pick involved, a pick, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe one, but like player for player, straight up. Like really, really good quarterback for really, really good quarterback. Like two guys that are capable of winning a Super Bowl. They just need to be in the right situation, right? Like, that's kind of how it was. Stafford was in LA. It almost worked, but it just like it wasn't there. And Stafford being in, I meant Goff being in LA. Stafford being in Detroit again. Like, I know we had Calvin Johnson, but like Detroit, other than that, was just dog shit. They just need to get the right guy in there, and just was like they had to move on from him. Straight up, player for player, quarterback for quarterback. Yeah, like both teams. I know the Rams have their Super Bowl. They have coming into it, they had better players when the trade happened, and now Detroit's gotten much better, obviously. So like Detroit's going to be a contender. I mean, as Dan Campbell's going to be there for a minute until they start like losing again, like they did. Dan Campbell's going to be there for a minute, dude. He wants to bring a title to Detroit. Jared Goff's going to be around for probably another 4 seasons of like really good football. They're going to start bringing free agents. Like, are they going to bring in top line free agents? Maybe, like very well could, and they'll keep adding to free agency to like lesser guys. Keep having NFC title game runs, maybe Super Bowl appearance. NFC is kind of like kind of open. Like, there's new faces and new places, so like those teams gotta get going. But like they're already an established team with an established head coach, quarterback, good defense. They got good offensive line. So I think it worked out for both those teams. The Rams seem to be the one on like the I don't say decline, but like they've dropped up a little bit since the Super Bowl, obviously. But they'll get back to it. They'll be fine. McVay is a genius. Stafford can still sling the rock he's got probably less years of really good football than I think Jared Goff does, but they got weapons. They can be good. I know Aaron Donald retired. That's a huge blow. But I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine.
So 2 parts that I want to bring up, because we talked about player for player. There were some picks involved. And when I say some, it was a lot of picks. So it's Jared Goff, 2022 first round pick, 2023 first round pick, and 2021 third round pick for Matthew Stafford. What those picks turned into was they used the 2022 pick to end up picking up Ifeatu, if you remember, the cornerback that year. And then they also used their 2023 picks to move up to end up picking Jahmyr Gibbs. Mm-hmm. And then they ended up also using the rest of the picks that they end up having. They use a lot of packages. So it's not straight those 2 first-round picks, but they added more, and they used the pick to end up picking up Sam Laporta as well. So it turned out to be a win. If you're looking at the Detroit Lions, it seems very similar to what OKC did. If you just had enough patience, they drafted a lot. Yes, they got their quarterback, but I promise you in the NBA, you're not going to – well, in the NFL, you're not going to be able to do what you can do in the NBA. Like, you only need 5 players. There's no way in hell you're drafting a whole team like the Warriors and the Thunder can end up doing. But bro, that's what –
who is this blonde assistant coach on the Pacers? Have you seen her?
Yo, I know.
What?
I remember seeing her. So when I was in Vegas, the Pacers were playing, and I think something happened to their coach for like a split second. And so she was the one standing up. And it was just like, it threw everyone off. Like, who is she?
She was just there was just a little scuffle between Jackson and Hardenstein. And she was the first coach that stepped out on the floor to come get Jackson, out of like the little skirmish. And I wasn't familiar with her game, and now I am.
I
so
know.
Might need do a little due diligence on the gram or find something real quick.
Yeah. So it's funny because all you have to do is type in assistant coaches. She's the first one that pops up. It's not even like everyone knows who you're looking for.
Yeah.
So
you're not searching assistant coaches for any other reason.
No, absolutely not. And yeah, so that's the one thing. Her name is Jenny Buchek, if anyone's out there wondering. She reminds me of some of the different ESPN announcers, but you could definitely tell she played sports. It's not one of those things of she's just, that's the other thing. Exactly. So kind of just diving in, I have a couple of things in terms of the crypto world that I want to talk about, crypto finance, because something important happened. Then we got to get into our favorite segment that has happened. For the first thing, so for anyone that doesn't know, Roaring Kitty. So that's a very important name back in 2020, 2021. Why? Because of GameStop went on that massive run when essentially that the retail put in so much money led by essentially Roaring Kitty that they saw that there was so much short inflow that was coming in. So they were like, we're going to go long. And they ended up going long on the stock and it shot to over $300. Then if you look on the flip side of it, you always have those lagger plays that happen. AMC went on a run after that. Then BlackBerry went on a run. Then Nokia went on a run. And it was one of those things that if you were tapped into the market, you heard about it so much. Now, I have to say the flip side because so many people got mad at me. And that was around the time, one, Steven and I was starting the show, but two, a lot of people were getting on me claiming like, oh, I was not amongst the people anymore. I was so much with VC firms. And all I was doing was telling people, don't tell your grandma and grandpa to go out and buy GME stock and put $1,000 because you don't understand that in any moment, if VC funds and these big time like hedge funds wanted to throw money and be like, let's fuck you over, they could. Like they can do it at that point. If GameStop is at $200, $300 and you're putting money in, you don't understand the market because all they have to do is just put in a fat short and y'all are all done. Just wipe out all liquidity there. And for anyone that doesn't know, that's what liquidation is. They could have done that. So it ended up running and then it went back down to earth. Then the flip side to it. So Roaring Kitty, he like disappeared off the earth for like 3 years and wasn't tweeting or anything. Then he came back around recently. All the stocks started going up. GameStop went up. And here's the kicker, Steven, that a lot of people don't like. So when GameStop ran up, they halted the market. Well, they halted GameStop 24 times. GameStop and AMC got halted 24 times. The big thing about that is it shows you that it's not a free market and that they can control it. They're controlling it because a lot of these big time investment managers and investment bankers and hedge funds, they're losing money. If you keep going up, they're not expecting it to go up like that. Whereas if it was just a regular, if me and Steven put in a couple of dollars investing, and then the hedge funds decide to put money in. They're not stopping the market to like help us out, but they will stop the market for them. So just think about what happened with GME and then AMC in those two different times. There was also a movie out. I don't know if people end up knowing about the movie that came out, that they did a documentary on it. It's called Eat the Rich, essentially. So it's about the GameStop saga. It's on Netflix if anybody wants to end up knowing about that. But that's the only thing I wanted to bring up over there of importance. The other thing is, and we'll use this to segue into what's been happening in sports. Steven, have you been hearing about all the different bundles that have been going on with like Netflix and Peacock and Apple TV bundling? And then on the other side, one, what are your thoughts about this? And you know its ramifications for the NBA and the NFL.
Yeah, even college football too. I'm sure it'll trickle down. It's it's annoying that Penn State had a game on Peacock last year. He had one game on Peacock, so I can't complain. That I had we had to find someone who had an account. So I wasn't going to purchase a month and then cancel it. Well, I only needed it one time. If they had multiple games, sure. But yeah, it's just the way it's going to go. And you're going to get a lot more in the NFL because they're going to counter what college football is doing with the 12-team playoff. Because that's also going to trickle into the deep part of the NFL season and trickle into the playoffs for the NFL. And they're not going to have that. As much as they want to support college football and like what it's doing, I mean, it's a $1 billion corporation and they got to find ways to keep making money. So that's what they're going to do. I did see that one of the playoff weekends for college football is going to be pretty much overtaken by the NFL, but it's going to be on streaming. Like, so you're going to, if you don't have Netflix, which I feel like most people do, or if you don't have Peacock, or for example, if you don't have Paramount, the CBS partner, if you don't have, what was it, like Prime Network, Prime Video, you're going to have to make moves. You're going to have to find, figure it out. It's just annoying because like, it's just a hassle to go through that. So yeah, it's just annoying, but it's all about money. So like this is gonna keep happening, and then like I said, it's gonna trickle down to college football. You're gonna have more and more, especially Big Ten games, gonna be on Peacock because of their deal with NBC, CBS, and Fox now. That started last year. So yeah, it's annoying, but what are you gonna do? Like not watch games? No, you're gonna figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Right, so everyone has their. I don't know about you, but I use we all remember crack streams. Everyone uses crack streams now. Being a LeBron guy, I watch as many games as I can. Now the West Coast, not all Lakers games are on TV, so the games that are on their network, I'll check them out. But it's now called meth streams and not crack streams, so they're just changing the rest. I don't know what's in next. It'll probably be gone in like 6 months, anyways. But it's been solid for like the last 2 years for me. I watch if the Steelers games are not on TV, I'll stream them. But like I said, what are you gonna do? Not watch the games if they're like if it's like that Thursday night game that was on Peacock, the Chiefs game, bro. How many people? Peacock said that was the most like subscribed to day that they've ever had.
Yes.
Now it was also the biggest cancellation day the next day because everyone just bought it for a day. But like you still got X amount of millions of dollars probably. So like you got what you wanted. And again, you're not going to not watch a game. So yes, I mean, it's annoying, but like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. So my question for you with all of this is there's 3 different powerhouses essentially now in the streaming world. And I want you to tell me which one, if you could only choose one of these bundles, which you would go with. So Paramount has theirs with Paramount, which is CBS and stuff. Then you have Discovery, which is a part of them, and then BET. So that's one. The next one is Hulu, Disney, and Max. So for anyone that doesn't know, Max is HBO Max. So any of those different movies that are there, if anyone watches Euphoria, that's another one that's on there. But you have Hulu, Disney Plus, which also includes ESPN3, and then ESPN, it's technically a part of that. And then Hulu. And then the third one is Netflix, Apple TV Plus, and Peacock. Apple TV Plus is more so important if you're a soccer fan and then an MLB fan because they're tied in with that. Peacock, of course, has NBC. But of those three, which, if you can only choose one bundle, which would you go with?
Hulu, easily.
Wow. Okay.
Easily. I have Hulu. I've used Hulu. Now we also have Netflix. My wife loves Netflix. But yeah, I would go Hulu. I watch Hulu the most. I love the shows. Well, I love two shows that were on HBO back in the day. And what was the other one with? You said Hulu, Max, and what?
So Hulu, Disney Plus.
Oh yeah,
Max.
and I have a 7 and 5-year-old, so Disney Plus is a must. Now my kids also watch Netflix. Probably watch Netflix actually more than anything now because there are certain shows that are only on Netflix. But like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go Hulu, Disney Plus, and Max for sure.
Yeah.
Let me guess. You're gonna go with Netflix and Peacock, correct?
So it's funny because I don't fully. Okay, if I have to choose, I honestly would probably say the Hulu, Disney Plus, and Max before we end up saying the next part that I'll have to bring up. But the other part is I really like Paramount just because the CBS stuff is great during the game. If you guys don't realize it, CBS does not come on all these different streaming services. Like they have some sort of wild ass exclusive rights that you damn near have to get one of the big ones. You can't have Sling, for anyone that knows what Sling is. You're not going to find CBS there. YouTube TV does have it, but look at this. YouTube TV, to be honest with you, is not the best out of any of these anymore. It used to be great, but when you have all these different ones bundled together, I have to go with Hulu, Disney Plus, and Max because you get a lot of the things. The part that I wanted to bring up, and I guess now it's a better time than ever, there's starting to be rumblings that inside the NBA is about to be no longer. And I said that because some of those games that were on Max were a part of like the whole TNT thing. Like they would just share partnership rights. Max almost doesn't have anything with those games anymore. But what are your thoughts if this is the end? Are you going to watch the NBC games? And who do you think they would even bring over there?
So I definitely have transitioned out of watching pregame stuff. I think a large part of it is because like I have kids and we're always busy. So like it's like my life has taken me away from it, which is fine because it's Shaq, Kenny, Charles, Ernie have been, they've been a part of our life watching sports and watching pregame shows. The most consistent one, for the last 15 years? Yep. However long it's been since Shaq retired, but Kenny and Chuck were doing it for, a while before that. So, I think it's run its course, like I think they don't do, I don't know. They always feel like the NBA, this is kind of like a side thought. The NBA is kind of like one of the only leagues where like the old heads put down the new players way more than any other league.
Yes.
You always see in the NFL on all of the pregame shows. Maybe it's not so much the talk shows because they can't always be positive. They have to throw negative things out there. But like the pregame shows that we're strictly talking about, baseball is really good about it too. I don't know how much you've watched on baseball, but I've watched a handful here and there, especially during the playoffs. The NFL and MLB players, past players, are really good about lifting up current players, and they're not just saying like what Chris Collinsworth does and says every guy is the best at something. They will give flowers when it's due, and they'll criticize him, but like it's very rare that it goes that deep in like the criticism of players. Whereas NBA dude, Shaq criticizes fucking every player every chance. Barkley says everybody sucks. Kenny is a religious man, so he's not going to say something out of pocket.
No.
But like, some of their antics are funny. They've had some wild moments over the years. And I can't wait for the montage of like the 30-minute montage of all the fucking random things Chuck has said, or Shaq and Kenny going back and forth or whatever. So like that's been great entertainment. But like, and I know these guys know basketball, and I know they're Shaq and Chuck are two of the greatest of all time. I get that. Ernie, love him. Kenny, been around for a minute. 1-2 titles, whatever. But they criticize players way too much. They don't lift up players like they should. They don't give them flowers like they should. They do from time to time, but it's very rare. It's kind of just like, all right, guys. Like, it also sounds like they're not giving basketball analysis. They're saying what like literally everybody else is saying on Twitter, or like what we're saying in our living room watching the games.
Yeah.
Like, the Pacers need to do a better job of protecting the paint. Duh. Like, clue. The Knicks have 30 points in the paint. Like, now, I don't know if any of that's true. I haven't really focused on the game, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't they're saying shit everyone knows. Like, oh, someone's got to stop Jalen Brunson. No shit, dude. He's got 35 points in the first half. Duh. Like, everyone knows that. There's no like true breakdown of things. I know Kenny goes to the board and does this thing, and it's just shtick, and it has been, and there's always something that's going on. But it's like, what is he really doing? Like, he's just like, he's not like breaking down plays. Like Dan Orlovsky. I don't know if you've ever watched Dan Orlovsky.
He will break it.
He's super smart, and are we gonna talk about JJ Redick at all, or no?
Yeah.
I was thinking to say that to the end, or I can do that now.
You can do it.
So I got JJ Redick. Like, if he becomes the Lakers head coach, and we've heard nothing from JJ Redick, we've heard nothing from LeBron about or anyone associated with this, right? It's all speculation at this point. But like, Udonis Haslem today said there's going to be like not a broken locker room, but like some friction in the locker room. He thinks that the players are going to say, oh, he's only getting hired because he's doing a podcast with LeBron. Like, have you ever heard JJ Redick commentate on basketball, whether he's doing the game in the studio on his podcast, Old Man the Three, or the podcast with LeBron? This man knows basketball. This man, his basketball IQ is so high. Not like he was coached for 4 years at Duke under Mike Krzyzewski. There's not many coaches you can be better coached by. I know he has his rift with Doc Rivers, whatever it might be. Still coached by Doc Rivers, one of the better coaches that we've had in the last 20 years. I know people can say what they want him on, but he wins. He's played with like guys like Chris Paul. He's coached by Stan Van Gundy. Say what you want about Stan Van Gundy. He's commentating this Knicks game right now. Unbelievable basketball mind. JJ Redick just absorbs this. So if he's hired by the Lakers as the next head coach, dude, if he can help them win those games that they lost last year, or call a timeout when they can't, or like drop a play, like an out of bounds play or something, he does not have to do much, dude. He has 2 of the 5 best players in the league on his team. And he's got, one of the greatest basketball minds, if not the greatest basketball mind, running the show. So he doesn't have to do much. He just has to do like the few things a game that Darvin Ham did not do, whether it's lineups, whether it's called one play out of bounds, or just like, and he's one of the guys. He's not going to be, a Coach K. He's not going to be, one of the old head coaches like Sloan back in Utah, whatever. Like, he's not going to be those guys. Like, he's going to coach them how they need to be coached. And all he has to do is those few things that Darvin Ham did not do. I say all that to say, those guys on TNT, they don't do that stuff. They just go with like the funny stuff. Now, if they did, I'd be a little more bummed out that they're leaving, but like, it's run its course. Like, the comedy part of it, again, I don't know if I'm just like, I'm a 60-year-old trapped in a 32-year-old body, but like, I'm kind of over it. If they go to NBC, I hope they bring in the music, and I'm sure they'll bring in some good guys. But like, I don't know how much you watch the pregame show. I watch it during the conference finals, maybe the finals too. But like, I kind of like have grown away from it. I say all that to say like, that I've grown away from it, but I don't know. These guys just don't like talk about basketball like I want them to. Maybe it's just me though.
Yeah. No. So I think I've come to appreciate more the in-game announcers than the before and after stuff. And again, the same way you said kids, I think I just do so much in life that I don't pay attention to it like I used to. Yeah. And then the post-game shows, it's too late, so I don't even watch that. I'm surprised they're up at like 1 a.m. talking. And they're in Georgia. Like, it's not like they're on the West Coast. They're on the East Coast half the time, and they're doing that. But the only one that's going to stay with Turner Sports that we know of confirmed is Ernie. But there's other work that, of course, he can do. I know that they'll transition to him to a lot of the March Madness stuff when that comes up. If there's any golf events, clearly he'll be one of the first ones to come up with those. I don't think he'll do the hockey stuff. I just can't see Ernie doing that.
He does MLB stuff too during the playoffs.
Yeah,
so he'll stay busy for sure.
Yeah, and that's what it shows you, Steven, because with Shaq, Kenny, and Charles, they're not going to be as versatile in that way because Ernie's not there to give the in-depth commentary on the sport. He's there to kind of moderate and be the one to make it go, essentially give the assist to the other people that are on the stand. Shaq, I don't think he's going to go to NBC. It wouldn't be him. Now I could see them pulling Kenny and Charles over there. It does suck kind of for Draymond because Draymond, he had probably thought in his head, you know what, this is going to be the same transition Shaq had, the same transition Charles had to go from on the court to then being in the booth. So that's a little tough. But what I can see happening is Mike Tirico doing some of those NBA games. And if you all remember, he didn't start with NBC. He was over there with the ESPN doing those
nice
games.
Too.
He was. And then but this is the wild part. We think this is all brand new information. All this shit could have been laid out years in advance. And they probably told some of them like, yo, you're going to get this work. The other part to it is, what's her last name? Her first name is Monica. She was just pregnant. No, man. The one that's on NBC. It might not even be Monica, but she's helping with the Olympics and stuff like that too. But that's kind of
when you find it, let me know. Or don't tell me.
So the only reason why I brought that up is
Maria Taylor.
I found it. Yeah. So that's kind of one of the other things because she was another one that was on ESPN. And the big part was during the bubble. They had that whole big thing with her and Rachel Nichols and that type of shit. Yeah. And then it was during the finals as well. That became a big thing. She's another one that's probably going to get work again. So they have certain people in place already at NBC that can do it. You just won't get those personalities that you have at TNT. But if you look at the four main networks, you can even look at it. NBC people compared to Fox Sports people, compared to ESPN, compared to TNT, Turner Sports. They're all different. So don't expect to get the same type of network personalities that you would at Turner Sports going over to NBC. It'll be a little different because Tony Dungy's not the same as the one that's on Turner Sports. What's the other one? Mr. Coach Garrett is not going to be the same as what you see on Turner Sports. So just think about the personalities you're going to get. But I think we kind of beat the streaming services down a good amount. I want to go to another one that's going to, ruffle little feathers or give a little side eye, and that's the NBA draft. And what I started to hear is because the Pistons did not get the number one pick, which we'll go into that, they got number 5. But it's come to the point, and I was listening to a lot of shows at this point, different podcasts. They were like, the Detroit Pistons didn't get the number one pick. And they said, of course, because we all know it's kind of rigged, but also the Detroit Pistons wouldn't know what to do with the number one pick. They find a way to mess it up.
Yeah, for sure.
And then they said hashtag free Cade. So it just shows you what's going on over there. And I don't even blame the coach for it. I blame just management. They're the ones that keep messing this stuff up. But number one is Atlanta, which puts them in a huge situation because nobody knows what's going to go on. Are they going to trade DeJounte Murray? Are they going to trade Trae Young? Are they going to end up keeping them both and then just get the number one pick? But they're also saying nobody even knows half the picks in this draft. Like you maybe know 2 or 3, and one of them is Connect, and then the other one is Rob Dillingham. Like those are your main ones that you do know that are for sure coming out that will do well. And then of course Bronny, which now they're comparing him to Steph Curry, shooting 19 at 25 at the 3-point line. But what are your thoughts overall? Washington has number 2, Houston has number 3, San Antonio has 4 and 8, and then number 5 is Detroit. What are your thoughts on the draft?
This is the 3rd time that the Pistons have had the best odds to get it. In all 5 times, or all 3 times, they have not gotten it.
Nope.
So, they'll screw it up. They'll probably take someone they definitely shouldn't. Something like Foreigner, who won't be in the league for a couple of years. I'm not even, like, again, I feel like I paid a lot of attention to college basketball, enough to know a lot of names, but like, yeah, the draft just each year, man, it's just littered more and more and more with foreign players.
Yeah.
Like more and more. And these kids are like their basketball IQ is extremely high. Like they're basketball players who are athletic, whereas college basketball players are athletes who play basketball. Now, some of them have really good basketball IQ, but it's not like none of these guys are like franchise changing players where you had like a handful of years ago, a stretch of like, some of the guys might fizzle out or whatever, but like guys who were like, franchise cornerstone players. But I don't see any of that in guys coming out. Even the guys you mentioned, I don't see it. And Bronny, like, whatever, dude, let the kid live, man. Like, he's not going to be LeBron. Like, we all know that. I think everyone knows that. I think Bronny knows that. Now, he could be really good. Let's go say he averages like 12 and 6 over his career. Cool, man. Like, that's dope. Have like a nice 12-year career. Make your own Skrilla. Like, your pops is going to be retired watching your games and shit. Like, all right, cool, man. Go have a good time. Now, I can only imagine. This is exactly the media frenzy, good and bad, surrounding him. Like, this is exactly what and you and I are old enough to remember what it was like when LeBron was coming up. All you saw was what you saw on ESPN or ABC or whatever channel his games were on, or TNT as it got going. Like, just straight talking about him coming up through high school, like we all saw him from the beginning, but it was just on ESPN. You didn't have YouTube, you didn't have Twitter, you didn't have social media. Wasn't a thing. And like all you saw was what you saw on ESPN. That was it. Yep. That was the only chance you saw during the day for like a hour-long window of people criticizing him or saying whatever. Like, I can only imagine this was what it would have been like had LeBron had Twitter, Instagram, whatever, when he was coming up. Now, I know he was dominant from the start and better than Bronny was in certain areas and scoring and all that kind of shit. But like, the criticism was always there for LeBron. The negativity was always there for LeBron. I can only imagine this is exactly how it would have been like. So Bronny's been coached up probably extremely well, better than any player probably ever coming out of like dealing with the media, dealing with the negativity, dealing with the bullshit, whatever. Because like LeBron's been dealing with it for, fucking 30 years. So I don't think it matters to him. But like, let the kid play, man. Like he's better at LeBron. His IQ is about the same. Athletically, for being 6'1.5", having 40-inch vert. First of all, I saw someone, Albert Breer, I think it was, say, like, not to bring up the whole basketball football conversation. That's what he said. But like, there were X amount of guys at the NFL Combine who jumped 40.5 inches. Like, bro, 40.5-inch vert. I don't care how tall you are. I don't care what sport you're playing. That is extremely impressive. For anyone who knows sports, 40.5-inch vert is unbelievably impressive. For someone who's 6'1", 210 pounds, I know his genetics are the best in the world right now, probably. But like, you still got to go out and put the work in, man. You still got to go out and practice your shooting. You still got to go out and know the game and learn the game. I know you're given part of it from LeBron, from your dad, but like, you still got to go work. And like, he's working right now. Like, the shooting, that's not just by accident. He's a good shooter. His hustle, his athleticism, you got to work on that shit. So, is he going to be LeBron? No, duh. Like, LeBron is one-on-one. Like, it's same thing when LeBron's coming out. It was Michael Jordan. No, he's never going to be Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was one-on-one. But like, let the kid hoop, man. Maybe he will be really good. Maybe he will be like a starting point guard, or maybe he like will be a really good sixth man, or like, I don't know, have like a Jamal Crawford type of career and like be six man.
That's so good.
Yeah, exactly. Bro, sign me up, man. Sign me up.
Exactly.
I don't give a shit. Like, he doesn't have to be LeBron. He doesn't have to be the GOAT. Like, it's fine. Like, he might end up having like a career of like averaging 20 and 10 and like being like a good scoring point guard or some shit like that. I don't fucking know. No one knows, dude. No one knows. No. That's the fun part about it. All these weirdos on Twitter like are waiting for him to have that first game where he drops like, 11 and has like 3 like 3 assists and like 6 turnovers, and the team
So yeah, they're
loses. And I'm
ready.
like, man, he doesn't have to play for LeBron. He doesn't have to play for the Lakers. He doesn't have to play for like. It's probably better if he goes to like the Magic or like, like a
Hello.
yeah, like a shitty team with a shitty market or whatever like that. So I mean, I wish him well, dude. Like I'm rooting for him. Like I hope he does well. I don't. But if he sucks, who cares? Like,
Yeah.
it is what it is, man. It's either or. Like, So, but people were just waiting for this one, man. They were just waiting for
Yeah.
since he was in high school. Since he was a freshman, they're like, all right, Brian's in high school. Like, you better come out one and done, or be like go straight from high school to pros. If you're gonna, if your name is Bronny Jr., LeBron James Jr., that's who that is. So, I mean, I wish him well, dude. But back to what we were talking about, like, I don't recognize any. Like, I mean, no, I don't say recognize any of these names, but like, the draft just isn't like the NFL draft year after year, though. It turns out franchise changing players each year. I know there's way more players. I know there's, I know there's way more players and way more dominant players and all that kind of stuff. I fully understand that part about it, but there's just not as many like top tier players that you can like kind of bank on. I know you can't really bank on players being good, but like, you know what I mean? Like the chances are that they're going to be pretty good. You can't do that with the NBA. So it's just different game, different style and whatever. But like, I mean, I hope the Spurs, one thing, I hope the Spurs draft Zach Edey and just put him with Wemby and figure it out, man. I've said that for a long time, and I'll absolutely maintain that. I hope that the Spurs draft Wemby. If they don't, I hope the Pistons do, because it'll be funny. But I really hope the Spurs draft Zach Edey. Pair him with Wemby and make it work, dude.
Yeah.
Like they're two opposite big men, not even close to the same player. Everybody knows that. Zach Edey's going to be in the paint. I'm not saying you take Wemby out of the paint, because obviously he's fucking 8 feet tall and can dominate down there. But two different players. I know that, and they're also not the same as Tim Duncan and David Robinson. But who gets the drift? Same thing. Send them to San Antonio and make it work. So
you know how scary that would be?
Huh?
I see. You know how scary that would be? There would be no shots inside. Like everything would be outside with that. But we talked about the draft. So now we got to segue over to the other sport that we've been definitely deep diving into, and that is the NFL side of things. So if you remember last week, we did the AFC North. This week, we're going to do the AFC West. Just kind of run through everything. This one's much easier. I think we can both say that than the AFC North. We had to drill down into every single team. This isn't that way. With the AFC West, so we have the Chiefs, we have the Raiders, we have the Broncos, the Chargers. Chiefs were 11-6, Raiders were 8-9. They have hired Antonio Pierce to be their actual head coach. Denver Broncos have Sean Payton, they're 8-9. The Chargers 5-12, they got Coach Harbaugh. Those are the main things that everyone should end up knowing about over there. How we did it last time was we went by quarterback, running back, tight end, wide receiver, defense, and O-line. I'll start off with mine, and then Steven can end up giving his. So quarterback, I think that's the most obvious one in the world. If we both don't have that one, that's a surprise. But I have the Chiefs because of Patrick Mahomes. The running back is way harder than people think. If I had to honestly choose, I'm going with the Chiefs because of Isaiah Pacheco. But the Broncos can make a tough run at it. I've been hearing a lot of people talk about Jaleel McLaughlin more than I'm whatever care to say. The wide receiver, the tight end, we're going with, you already know who, the Chiefs, because of Travis Kelce. Although Brock Bowers is going to make an argument as well going forward. Wide receivers wise, I'm going with the Raiders just because of one man, and until he leaves that division, I'm not changing it. It's Devontae Adams, so I'm going with the Raiders over there. The Chiefs don't have formidable wide receivers. They just have a bunch of them. And then one of them is still technically on the run right now because he keeps doing crazy shit as it is. Defense-wise, I'm going with the Chiefs because of Chris Jones over there. I do love what the homies on the Raiders are doing as well. Denver Broncos can make an argument because they have Patrick Surtain. I just think they've traded a lot of their players but if you look at the point differential is where you have to end up looking at this when it comes to the defense as well. Points against, they only gave up 294. when you look at the rest of them, the Raiders gave up 331, the Broncos gave up 413, the Chargers gave up 398. The point differential actually was the fourth highest in the conference. So that's something else why I end up saying the Chiefs. O-line, here's the part that I've had a lot of trouble with, Steven. I'm going with the Raiders / the Chiefs. I'm going with the Raiders because of the running backs that they had back there in Las Vegas did put up good numbers. Josh Jacobs is not your Christian McCaffrey or your Saquon Barkley type running back. He was running through the hole, but also the Chiefs-wise, if you're protecting Patrick Mahomes, you got to be up there. So those are kind of my different thoughts on it. What do you have for that?
Yes, quarterback, easy. Chiefs. Running backs, I might go with the Chargers.
Yep, I know.
Because Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins both, like J.K. Dobbins, I know he's got to stay healthy, right? Got to stay healthy. But if he is healthy, we've seen him, like what he can do. Saw him in college, and when he was healthy in the league, yes, he's really good. Both those guys, especially Dobbins, being a more physical back, coming from the AFC North, where like physical running backs are a thing, always have been a thing. Their offense isn't like a run-oriented offense, but they're going to rely on that to get their receivers open. I think I'll stay with them because I think they have potentially the best right and left tackle combo if things work out. I think Joe Alt can be really, really special.
They're saying like Hall of Fame type thing.
Yeah, he's really good. Now, I love Olu Fashanu from Penn State, obviously. Joe Alt is just more polished. So, yeah, another, if he stays healthy for, 12 years, that's like a left tackle that is, Hall of Fame type of stuff. And Rashawn Slater is really good. Another great tackle coming out of college. Or Joe Alt's going to be right tackle. Slater's their already started left tackle. So I think, I think they do have a really good offensive line. Justin Herbert, we've seen him be like, him and Josh Allen are pretty much the same. We've seen Josh Allen, I mean that in terms of like, we've seen them be like Hall of Fame looking quarterbacks, but then we've seen them make dumbass mistakes. Obviously, Josh Allen has done way more and taken his team that far before. So Justin Herbert, wake up, dude. Let's go. Receivers, yes. We're not grouping tight ends. Tight ends, we don't need to get into that. I do think Brock Bowers is going to be. I do think he's going to be really good. Is he going to be Travis Kelce or one of those elite tight ends? I think he can be for sure. I think he's got capabilities. He's got to stay healthy as well. He's had some injuries in college, but I think he can be really good. Receivers. That is tough. I'll probably go. I did say the Raiders with Devontae Adams, but looking at, I don't know. I really like Xavier Worthy.
Chiefs,
as a weapon for Patrick Mahomes. He's not like the typical guy who runs the 4.2s at the combine, right? I know he broke the record, but he was more of a possession receiver than those other guys have been that have had those high numbers and they're drafted solely because of that. What was the dude from Washington? Josh Brown, or whoever that was? You know what I'm talking about. He got drafted by the Raiders. John Ross, whatever, same thing.
Yeah.
Dude was only drafted because he ran
that was it.
He just ran down the field. That's it. That's all he did in college. Xavier Worthy, yes, he did that in college because he was so fast, but they put him in end arounds. They put him in, quick screens. They did all those types of things with him because he's more of a possession receiver than those guys were. So I think that doesn't, make him one of the best receivers in the league, but they got Marquise Brown as well. I'm not saying that that's going to change everything, but the Chargers have 0 wide receivers. Do not try and put Ladd McConkey on.
Dang it.
Don't put him out there like that, right? The only reason he's getting compared to Cooper Kupp because he's white. That's it, man. That is it. whoever the other good wide receiver would be in the league, I'm sure he would get compared to him too. He's not the same. He's like 2 inches, 3 inches shorter and 20 pounds lighter than Cooper Kupp. So he's not even like the same body type, not even remotely close to. So they have no receivers. Quentin Johnson is so far he's a bust. So they're
saying Palmer's going to be their best receiver.
Yeah. The Raiders have Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers. You throw Brock Bowers in there if he can, get things rolling. Only thing I worry about them is like Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew. Like
they don't have shit.
They don't have a quarterback. Like they don't have. I'm not trusting either. I know who Gardner Minshew is. Yes. Okay. Let's stop. Okay. I get it. He did some cool things, but like if you're not starting over Aiden O'Connell, then I can't help you out. Broncos, Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, Josh Reynolds. Well, I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. Bo Nix, Jared Stidham, or Zach Wilson.
I know.
Not again, man. This might be unless something really crazy happens with the Chiefs, the injury, or they just suck, or like they really start their decline. I mean, this is going to be those are probably 3 easy wins for them. Like and during the season, like just add those in already.
3 or 6.
Like you know what I mean. Like 3 easy opponents. Yeah, 6 wins. Like so, you just give the Chiefs 6 wins to start the season, man. Just let them give them a 6-0 head start on everybody because it's not gonna matter. Like you're giving Patrick Mahomes more weapons. Rashee Rice, we'll just say he's not gonna be in the league this year. We're just gonna go ahead and say that. But you still, Isaiah Pacheco. You still got Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They have really good offensive line. Getting a little older in some positions, but like they'll be fine. Defense, you talked about defense. All these teams,
yeah.
The Broncos might get beat up a lot this year, bro. I recognize a couple names on their defense. Patrick Surtain, like, okay. That's really about all they got. Chargers, Khalil Mack, he's getting super old, dude. He's not the same Khalil Mack. Joey Bosa, hurt every now and then. Poona Ford, dope name, but like they have a great secondary, I think, with Derwin James and Asante Samuel Jr. But like,
they get injured.
I love Derwin James, huge fan. But again, Khalil Mack's getting older. Bosa's been hurt every now and then, so that kind of is what it is. I think maybe the Raiders, Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins, Robert Spillane, kind of underrated, but their secondary is, they're going to rely on Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins to get to the quarterback all the time. Chiefs defense, look, man, I think until a team beats them, they got to have the best defense, right? Like,
yeah,
it's like, and like until someone beats them, they're the best team in the league, and team is offense and defense. Like they're getting stops when they need to. I don't need to go down X's and O's and things, but like they're the best team in the league. So I think by default you have to give them the best defense. And Chris Jones is a fucking monster. They just gotta have good depth, and they'll be fine because there's going to be an injury along the way. Someone's going to get hurt. Someone's going to be out for an extended period of time. It happens every year. So they just got to keep good depth, and they'll be fine. So Chiefs, I run away with this division. I think by like 5 games, and I'm not sure any other team from this division is getting in the playoffs. I think the Chargers, like without having any wide receivers, I know they got Harbaugh. I know they have a good quarterback. I know they have 2 potentially good running backs, like a good secondary. You got no receivers, bro. None. No one. Not a single receiver. I'll say this. This might be the worst season that Justin Herbert has. And I don't think they get any receivers. I'm going to go on a limb. They don't get any receivers over 700 yards. I think they all suck. So that's where I'm going to go.
So we know. So that clearly shores up who's winning the division. We both can agree on that. I want to finish the last part because I had to hold my tongue for my 3 picks in the draft that I think are very important to end up knowing. The first one I'll start with, it was a toss up. So I was going between their first round pick and their second round pick. Um, but everyone knows I love my linemen just through and through. And so the first one is Mr. Kingsley Suamataya from BYU, offensive lineman. As long as you keep making sure that Patrick Mahomes is blocked, he's going to get paid. Like, if they put him in line, he'll end up getting some sort of money as long as you do what you need to do. That's the first one. The second one, and I touched on it already, I got to go with the man. As long as they can give him the ball, Brock Bowers. He's 6'3", went to Georgia. He's been the talk for a minute. It's not like this is the first year they've been talking about him. Hell, him and Caleb Williams, you could kind of say they had just similar seasons this year. It wasn't this year that they were talking about with them. It was those previous years that it was like, they're different. Like, just let them get to the league and they'll be fine. And the third one that I have to bring up, which technically is the first, but I had to spare some people. I'm going with Ladd McConkey.
I'm so tired of hearing his name, dude. Already, he's already my least favorite player in the league.
And what I've told some people is, because of what Steven said, they don't have wide receivers that are there. I think Ladd McConkey can end up having a season very similar to Puka Nacua. If all things end up going well, they have nobody. Like, there's nobody Justin Herbert there with trust. And what I was explaining to people is Justin Herbert loves to throw the ball. Coach Harbaugh loves to run the ball. So it's going to be a give or take, like how it is. But if you look at what the homie Roman Wilson did do at University of Michigan, he was drafted for a reason. So if you can find one wide receiver, I'm hoping it could be McConkey. And if he can put up 800 to 1,000 yards, that's pushing it a lot. But in a lot of drafts, I have been trying to pick him up, but I've also seen people picking him up. So those are my three. Did you have any thoughts or ones that you had out there?
No, that's fair. I think you had to say McConkey to Sam. I think I don't think he's going to make a difference this year, but Joe Alt, I think, is probably out of everybody. I think he's probably the most surefire thing. I think in this division draft wise, I think he's gonna be really fucking good.
Steven, he's 6'9".
Yeah, he's a big boy. He's special, and I don't know, it just left tackle from Notre Dame, the big fucking white dude from Notre Dame, left tackle, All-American, screams Hall of Fame player. So I think that's a huge one. They got a guy, though, in the 7th round. This isn't one of my picks, but they got a guy in the 7th round. The Chargers did. Not Brendan Rice, but his name is Cornelius Johnson, receiver from Michigan. Not a lot of people know him. I obviously know him because Big Ten guy. I watch Michigan play. I don't think he's gonna be, anything special right away. But I think he's a guy like McConkey because they are so short-staffed at receiver, and there's no number one guy. He's a guy who can come in and he wasn't anything special at Michigan. They had other guys. Roman Wilson was the guy. Obviously, they ran the ball a ton. But when his name was called, he made plays. He had a huge game against Ohio State 2 years ago in Columbus. A handful of big plays. So again, I'm not expecting his name to pop off the charts, but just another name to keep an eye on. I gotta go Brock Bowers. I think that's huge. I think he was probably one of the top 5 best players in the draft. Another guy that they got, and I hate him because he went to Ohio State, Tommy Eichenberg. A very stereotypical white linebacker coming out of college. Middle linebacker, very good instincts, very good tackle. Tommy Eichenberg, that's a very white linebacker name. Midwestern linebacker name. Hands down, dude. But I think that also helps their defense a lot, gives them extra depth. Is he going to start? I don't know. He was a 5th round pick. Again, you come in, you learn the playbook, you develop quickly, and you catch on, you show it. Sure, you can get out there in preseason and do all that, right? But that's another name to keep an eye on. Xavier Worthy, though, was my 3rd. I think, is he going to be Tyreek Hill? Even though the 40 time was different, Tyreek Hill's speed is just different than everybody else's.
It is. Yeah.
Now, Xavier Worthy in college, he had that same speed. It looks different, but it's still like you can't teach that, but you can use it to your advantage for sure. And Andy Reid is not gonna. You saw what he did with Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson was 5'10", like a $160 soaking wet, but had the speed, and they used him in so many different ways. I can see him doing the same shit, maybe not on punt returns or whatever, but I can see him using, because Xavier Woods is a bigger dude, but I can see him absolutely using him in so many different ways other than, hey, just run a straight line down the field and, we'll throw it up to you, which that can work as well too, because he's that fast. And I guarantee you there's maybe like, out of all the DBs in the league, out of all the starting DBs, there's maybe like one, maybe two, to be able to like keep up with him for like a good distance, and then he just breaks away. So Worthy, Brock Bowers, and Joe Alt are my three guys. And Bo Nix, I think, is a sleeper as well. Broncos don't have a quarterback. Zach Wilson, I mean, you never know what his mental state is like after what happened in New York and how that kind of fizzled out real quick. So Bo Nix has a chance to come in, and like, there's no starter. This is a wide open competition. Bo Nix has been around for 5 years, and he played for two, really good teams, and obviously a much better team with Oregon. But he's got a chance to come in and be that guy. He's there now and learn the playbook and do all that shit. So I think he's a sleeper. Is he going to start? Probably. Like, do you trust Zach Wilson? Do you trust Zach Wilson? You can't. No. You can't put your trust in Zach Wilson yet. Now, if he goes in, has a great training camp, and wins starting job, sure, there you go. But I think Bo Nix is a sleeper.
So, what division you on next?
Let's go.
In the AFC, of course, we have the East and the South.
Let's go AFC. We'll go AFC South. We'll save the AFC East for the last. I think that would be the most intriguing. AFC South next, funny. Which is going to be the shittiest division probably. And maybe aside from the AFC West. Maybe aside from the AFC West.
Yeah, we'll go with the South. Fun fact for everyone, I wrote down AFC South because I just said, if he were to say the AFC East, I'd be too hyped because I have too much that we could talk about the East. So next week is the South. They have the Texans, like the Jaguars, the Colts, and then the Titans. In that division is a little ugly. I'm gonna be honest. But what do you got for everyone?
I don't know, man. Just like always, people just gotta stop being weird. And every chance I get on Twitter, I tweet about. I don't tweet as much as I used to. I retweet a lot of things, but when I tweet out things, it's 9 times out of 10 it's telling someone to stop being weird. So every tweet, dude, that I need to put some effort into, it's about telling people to stop being weird. It's all caps. Stop being weird. People need to stop being weird. Let people live. Everything's different. I've learned that as growing up now as an adult, having 2 kids. Everyone's different. Some kids are, annoying as shit. Some kids are not. But like, people just gotta stop being weird. So that's it. That's my message.
Yeah.
Powered by StreamYard.
Powered by StreamYard. So my only thing that I want to let everyone know is tomorrow's an important day. I would say for me, but NFL fans, the schedule comes out.
Yes.
It's a big day because a lot of people book flights, they buy tickets and do all that stuff, figure out almost their life kind of in a way of what weekend they can say like, yo, leave me alone. Hey, I'm going to be free that weekend. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, finish what you're saying. I'll give my thought.
Yeah. So I said all that just because I'm trying to end up going to Miami one weekend, so I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Fun fact, the Swedes, when I said that to them, they were like, that's a weird saying to end up saying. Yes, it is, literally, when you think about it. But Inter Miami plays on a Saturday. I am hoping that same weekend the Dolphins can play on a Sunday. So I can just do both of them in the same week, and you get to end up seeing like Messi on Saturday, and then you can flip it up and then end up watching Tyreek Hill and them on Sunday. There's 2 weekends in September that the Dolphins, if you could just give me one, that would just be great. Because I'm not going to Miami twice. There's no need for me to go down there twice. No. If I could just do them both in one weekend, that'd be straight. But what'd you have?
I was going to say that schedule is coming out. And college football, the Big Ten has been putting out, ESPN's been putting out all their primetime games so far. They haven't released all of them, but a lot of them are coming out. Penn State fans are wondering when the Ohio State game is going to be, if it's going to be a noon game on Fox, if it's going to be a night game. I hope it's a night game for the whiteout, whatever. But I put down on my calendar, I tell my wife what games I'm going to this year. Because it's May, but like, got to get on the family calendar now.
Yeah.
So I booked my flight. You and I booked our flight. My brother-in-law BJ, we're going to Wisconsin. We're going to Madison this year. It's gonna be fucking dope. It's BJ's birthday is Saturday, day of the game. So that's even better. So this is your first. You've been to home games, but you've never been to a road game. It's a fucking dope. And then the week after that, they play Ohio State at home. So, being a dad, having kids, and it's tough to be gone 2 weekends in a row. Tough to get that, but so it's funny you're saying like you got to book flights and do all that stuff. I'm like, yes, you got to do that like now. You can't do that
exactly
like you used to be able to. I booked my hotel to Wisconsin. I booked a hotel to Wisconsin 4 months ago, and it's May, and we just got our flights for a October game. Tickets, we're good. I got tickets. Don't worry, we're good. But now we got your boys got the hookup. Shout out to the homies.
Shout out.
Which, by the way, in the coming weeks, I can't say it now, but in 2 weeks, in 2 weeks, I will have major news for everybody regarding Penn State football and someone I know. So keep that in mind. But yeah, it's funny. Like, you got to book everything now, like a year in advance. You got to book a hotel like for next season, this season, because that shit goes quick, especially if it's like Penn State, Ohio State. Ohio State, Michigan, you gotta book that shit years in advance, basically, which is crazy. You can't do it. You can't do it the month before or the week before. No.
Nope. So final thing with the schedule. Speaking of which, price is going up. Final last thing, NFL schedule. The Eagles Ravens will be playing. If it's in December, I'm not going. If it's in September, your boy might be there. But until next week, we out.
Deuces.